All right. So, ZOS just put out the initial thoughts for their race changes for the upcoming patch. So, for update 21, the upcoming racial balance changes by ZOS Gilliam. Feels good, man. Great to see that. But we're going to be going over the race changes. I am going to interact with chat while I go over this as well. I know a lot of people have some very strong opinions on a lot of the changes. Overall, I do personally feel, and I am in the camp that I think a lot of people are overreacting. I think a lot of people are just super like whenever ZOS makes a change, they just immediately just overreact and go crazy. And honestly, you guys know I love ZOS, but I do speak out and am critical when they do things that I don't agree with. I'm very happy with these changes. I'm very happy with the changes overall. Really, I'm very satisfied. There's like maybe one race that like I'm not as happy about. But overall, I think they did a great job. I think they did a great job, and I'm excited for next patch. I'm excited for next patch. So starting, I'm just going to skip right to the changes. So starting with High Elf. It seems the first one never changed, so I'm not going to even touch on it. So spell charge is currently 9% magic recovery, and that changed to spell recharge. So that restores 575 magic or stamina based on whichever is higher after activating a class ability. This can occur once every 6 seconds, reduces damage taken by 5% while you're using an ability with a cast or channel time. So this is going to be like, this is like the magic version of Adrenaline Rush. So this is really good. Like, this is really strong. I believe I did the math earlier. I think it's like 191 effective magic recovery, assuming you have 100% uptime on this. So I like it. I think this is cool. I think this is really interesting. We also have the 10% max magicka goes from Sarabane's boon, increases your max magicka by 2,000. I like that they're moving toward flat values. I think that's very good. I think it's also going to be easier for people to digest too and kind of see what they're getting, you know what I'm saying? And then elemental talent, 4% fire, shock, and ice damage, increases your spell damage by 258. High Elf culture is heavily ingrained with the belief in Destiny birthrights. We wanted that passive to highlight their ability to harness their innate powers or class, granting them unique resource when accessing a class ability really gets that feeling off, makes it much more engaging than previously fat recovery bonuses. On top of that, High Elves are well known for being powerful spellcasters, and we wanted to make this race feel more powerful when they were charging up a powerful ability. I like it. Don't really have any issues with this. High Elf's still going to be a really strong Magicka race. Argonian. Instead of 3% max magicka in the potion passive, we now get 1,000%, 1,000 max magicka, which, you know, seems pretty in line. You know, like, this was 10%, 2,000, 3%, 1,000. You know, actually, I'd argue that this is probably a bit of a buff. And then you gain 3,600 health, magic, or stamina when you drink a pot. If anybody, like, there are some people that were like, "Oh, Argonian's so mediocre now." If you didn't think this was going to get nerfed, I don't really know what you were expecting. The amount of sustain from this passive was just beyond. It was so high. It was so high. It only makes sense that it got nerfed, and it didn't even get nerfed, I don't think, too bad. I think it's still really good. I think it's still a really good passive. Argonian Resistance gave 9% max health and resistances, increases your max health by 1,000 and your disease resist by 2310, and you're immune to disease status effect. Good. Quick to mend, healing done, healing received. Now just does healing done, which makes sense. You know, they were, again, really strong for both the healer and the tank role, I believe, because of the, you know, played into it. Healing done and healing received also dips on each other as well. So, you know, bit of a nerf there, but overall, I don't think it's too bad. Wood Elf, phrase endurance increases your stamina recovery by 258. Again, I like the flat values personally. I know a lot of people are like super tilted by the fact that they're going from percentages to the flat values, but I personally think it's better this way. But that's just me. Resist affliction, 6% max stamina, 1485. Poison disease resistance, increase your max stamina by 2k. Poison resistance by 2310, and you're immune to the poison status effect. Basically the same thing, just kind of shuffled around a bit. Oh, they took out the disease resistance. I guess that makes sense. They put the disease resistance up here and the poison resistance down here. A little bit more unique. Reduces the stealth detection radius by 3 meters and increases damage done in stealth by 10%, which changed to increase your stealth detection radius by 3 meters. And your roll dodge gains 20% movement speed for 3 seconds. Well, real quick, let me read the Argonian comments. I forgot to read this. Are resilient creatures adapting their surroundings and accumulating themselves to... I think that's supposed to be acclimating themselves to their environment. Their ability to shrug off potent disease makes them harder to take down. Blah, 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 blah. Previous Argonian offered far too many stats and were mathematically twice as good as some races. This retracted from the unique feeling we wanted each race to have since their bonuses were all over the place. Now they should have more of some stats that make them stand out a bit more, while they'll have less in other areas that weren't in line with that vision. I agree with that. Definitely agree with that last line. The Argonian changes were really good, in my opinion. A quick note of why we changed the stealthy passive. Yeah, this is, they say Khajiit and Wood Elf, basically had the same passive, and they changed those to be more unique. The thick forest of Valenwood imprinted the importance of the ability to hunt to the Wood Elf race. As such, they have natural adeptness for detecting potential threats. Quick to react in well-versed poisons of nature, they can outlast and outwit their opponents. These traits are demonstrated with their natural speed boost when tactfully engaging combat, and their unparalleled stamina recovery. 20%'s a lot, though. 20% is a effing lot. So the bow dodge roll is going to be powerful on the Wood Elf. It's going to be real strong because this just says 20% movement speed, which means it isn't on the major or minor system. So if you have minor expedition, dodge roll on a bow bar, you're getting you'll have minor expedition, major expedition, and then 20% additional movement speed. You'll be hella quick. I don't know if maybe this should be 10%, or 15. I don't know. To me, 20 is a bit high, but it's going to kind of be one of those things where we have to see how it is in practice, But that's a lot of speed. That's a lot of speed. It might be a little too much, in my opinion. Might be a little too much. So we'll have to see. This and there's one other race that I think their passive might be a little too much. So again, this is going to come with testing. Breton. 2k extra magicka, pretty much in line with the other races. I think 6 or 8% movement speed would be fair. I think 10% would be fine. To me, 20 is just overkill, in my opinion. It's just way too much. I think 10% is good. 10% movement speed, I think that's fine. 20 is just a fucking lot. It's just a lot. And so no more 4K spell resist, but we get 2300 spell resist and 100 magicka recovery. So I'm not too upset about that. We lose a bit of tankiness, but we get more recovery. But let's talk about the fact that in addition to that, we get 4% additional cost reduction. So we are not only on the Breton race, you are not only gaining 100 additional magic recovery, but 4% additional cost reduction. Bretons are going to be sustaining like crazy. So I know on my mag did, I'm definitely going to change. I'm definitely going to change one of my enchants to a spell damage enchant because you'll be able to sustain so well on a Breton race. Breton race, a proud one, well attuned to the natures of magic. Their natural hardiness, paired with arcane ability to allow them to shrug off powerful spells, retaliate in quick succession with their own. This is shown in their bonuses to magical pool, as well as high resistance to spell attacks. Bretons should be feared with their ability to constantly weave spells with little delay. I like that. Breton needed some love. Breton definitely needed some love. And I think this is a good way to go about it. They're going to sustain very well because again, they're not really gaining much in the damage department. You're choosing Bretons for sustain. Whew. Capital T triggered as I scroll down to Dark Elf. Dynamic 6% max stamina magicka, increase your max stamina magicka by 1250, pretty much in line with everything else. This is the kicker. This is the kicker right to the Nords right here. 3% max magicka and 2079 flame resist. Increases your max health by 600 and your flame resist by 2310 and you're immune to the burning status effect. Now I want to read their note here. Dark elves are a sophisticated race that can thrive in the harshest conditions. Intelligent and quick, they are well versed in blade or magic, giving the king an advantage in juggling between the two. By giving them a balanced bonus of weapon and spell damage as well as magicka and stamina, their natural cunning and versatility will be demonstrated as they can fulfill any role. Because then they took the final passive, the 7% flame damage and the 2% frost and shock damage to increase your weapon and spell damage by 258. So, to me, Dark Elves kind of went from being a magicka race with some stamina bonuses to you can be magicka or stamina. That's really what this says to me with Dark Elves, that you could be magicka or stamina. And to me, I think the reason that a lot of people are pissed is because Dark Elf, for most classes this patch and previous patches, Dark Elf has been bis by a bit, like a tiny bit over High Elf. It's been that it's got that little bit of extra damage because of flame damage, the 7% flame damage. So a lot of people went Dark Elf for, you know, that little bit of extra damage. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, Dark Elf is just going to be useless now. Is just going to be useless. I don't agree to that. I don't think Dark Elf's going to be useless. I think that is hyperbolation to its finest, and you need to calm down. They're not going to be best in slot anymore. They're not. I'm sorry. They're just not. But to say that they're going to be useless as magicka damage dealers is just blatantly false. That's just not true. You're still getting a bonus to magicka. You're getting a bonus to your max health, which means that you probably won't have to glyph for health in your gear. You're getting the extra spell damage from destructive ancestry. Like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You might be a couple percentage points behind someone that's a high elf, but if it's that important to you to have that little few percentage points, use your race change token on your Dark Elf tune. Your main Dark Elf tune. Boom. You know, Dark Elves are I think they're gonna be fine. And everyone in chat is asking me, how is this gonna affect Mag DK? So it's actually gonna be different now. It always, for me, for Mag DK, was Dark Elf is the best no matter what. You will not convince me otherwise. That is no longer the case anymore. At least for me, I see Dark Elf as the best PvP race. You know, when you play a Mag DK in PvP, that extra stamina that the Dunmer brings, to me at least, is extremely important. It's extremely, extremely important. And yeah, if you want to go for like a super high damage build, maybe glass cannon, more squishy, yeah, High Elf's going to be a bit better. But most people who play Mag DK, I'm not going to say all, most people who play Mag DK do tend to play on the tankier side because, you know, they walk with cement blocks on their feet. So that extra stamina and now that extra health is going to be handy. It's going to be handy, you know. But from a PvE perspective, High Elf is going to be the new one. High Elf's going to be the new one. It's gonna be the new one for Mag DK PvP. Or PvE, excuse me, Mag DK PvE. But Dark Elf does open a lot of possibilities now. Now that Dark Elf's kind of like got these hybrid bonuses. You know, Stam DKs have got a lot of benefit. Like I said, Mag DKs and PvP will get a lot of benefit. I think that they are going to be an interesting choice for Stam now. You know, because I see people in chat even saying that, you know, they could be possible for Stam, and I agree. I think it's gonna this is more possibilities, you know, than there previously was. So I know a lot of people again are pissed because they're all Dark Elves and they're no longer bis. But again, I don't think, again, first glance, this is going to be, I'm making this video before the PTS goes live, so the percentage, you know, the difference could be bigger, smaller, we don't know. At first glance, I think everyone will be fine. You'll be fine. All right. If that extra little tiny bit of percentage between this and High Elf is more important to you, then go High Elf. But otherwise, I do think Dark Elf's going to be fine. Imperial. Real quick. Do you think your Enchanter Magic build will be more viable with these passive changes? I do. I definitely do. I do, indeed. With this extra weapon and spell damage, especially maybe if you decide to run igneous weapons instead of I think I run degen on that build. Maybe run igneous weapons, that'd be interesting. Imperial. Oh, I like the Imperial changes. I see people in chat are like, oh, fuck that, but I like the Imperial changes. 2k increase to max health, 2k increase to max stam. When you deal direct damage, you have a 15% chance to heal for 1750. Reduce the cost of your block and bash abilities by 5%. Oh, baby, for tanking, that's going to be wonderful. But 1750 to me, I don't know. On direct damage, it seems a little high at first glance. I could be wrong. But when I first read that, my first gut reaction was I was like, there's no cool. I don't see a cooldown here. I don't see a cooldown here. So I don't know. You know, it's going to have to be what we see during testing. How often this procs? Because 15% chance, 1750 heal, no cooldown. That could be pretty good. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But I'm very happy. Obviously, I played Imperial, so I'm very happy about this. Stout and hardy by nature, the Imperial race is one of order and battle and culture. They stand strong and unified regardless of what hardships face them. This is highlighted with their powerful bonuses to Constitution and their ability to push back when under pressure. I like it overall. I'm happy with these. I think it's good. The Red Diamond always felt kind of like all right to me, you know, but now it actually feels a lot more useful. So Khajiit. Oh, another trigger point. 20% health recovery and 10% stam recovery is now increase your health recovery by 100 and increase your stam magic recovery by 75. And I know a lot of people looked at 75 and started making memes and started scoffing at it and being like 75 is piss poor. It's nothing. But at least me, I looked at the calculator and like what, you know, because I think people see 10% and mentally feel like that's better than showing 75, you know? Because I looked at my calculator and took off the Khajiit like passives, and if you add 75 like into it, like if I was to take those passives out, like the 10% out, and then instead like make that this passive, the difference was very minor. Was very, very minor. I don't think it was nearly as big of a deal as some people were making it out to be. You know, and the build I was doing it on had a pretty high stamina recovery anyway, so the percentage benefit was really helpful there. So I don't think it's that bad. I think the 175, 75, I think it's nice, you know? Especially if you're looking at it from a, like I'm thinking from a Nightblade perspective, you know, from having that extra magic recovery will allow me to cloak more, and the extra, that stamina recovery is super nice too. Yo, Blade Master coming in with a Prime sub. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it, guys. Let's see some love for Blade Master in the chat. Thank you. I don't know. I don't think this is as bad as people are making it out to seem. I think, again, I think people see 10%, they see 75, and they just get triggered because to them 75 feels like less than 10%, you know? But I compared the values, and at least the tests that I did, I don't think they were wrong. They may have been, but it didn't look like it was that big of a deal. This I like. Lunar Blessing increases your max health, magicka, and stamina by 750. Little bit of a boost across the board. I like it. I'm about it. Feline Ambush increases your weapon spell critical chance by 8%. Reduces your detection stealth by 5 meters. Khajiit, I think, is going to be good for a lot of different things. I think people are sleeping on Khajiit. I think people are super triggered about it because of the whole 75 meme. But I think people are sleeping on it. Khajiit is going to be useful in a lot of situations. I can see it as a magicka DPS. I can see it as a stamina DPS, and I'm sure Woller's very happy from the tank perspective, playing his kitty tank to be happy to get some health bonuses in there. So I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be as bad as people make. I think it's gonna be good. I think Khajiit are poised to be in a very good spot. And again, I give Gilliam and the rest of the team a lot of credit because this is how I was hoping they were going to go about these changes. I was hoping that they were going to take like something like Carnage, increase weapon critical chance by 8%, increase your weapon and critical chance or weapon and spell critical chance by 8%. So they just apply it to both. But then I erased like High Elf or a race like Redguard, they kept the more magic-centric focus or the more stamina-centric focus. I like it overall. I like it overall. Nord, the big Nords, dude, started from the bottom, and now we almost have minor heroism. Nords are looking a spicy for next patch. Increase their max stamina by 1,500. When you take damage, you gain 5 ultimate. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. For those of you who don't know, this is like a light version of minor heroism. Very close to minor heroism. Very, very, very close. So Nords are going to be good. They're going to be good. It can be generating a lot of ultimate as a Nord. Increase your max health by 1,000. Your cold resist by 2310. You're immune to the chilled status effect, which is really, really good now. People used to sleep on that, but now that Magdans are wreaking havoc and BGs, that's a super nice passive. And then increases your physical and spell resist by 3960. Now, some people were calling this a nerf. If you just do a 1-to-1 comparison of the 660, divided by whatever, just based on the 1% mitigation, roughly the same. Roughly the same. But I believe that at higher resistances, this is actually a buff. At higher resistances, this is actually an effective buff. Keep that in mind. Someone did the math on the forums. You can find that thread for yourself, but I believe it's a buff. The hardy Nords, raiding from Skyrim, are well accustomed to the hardships of life. Yeah, aren't we all? With a bonus to Constitution and their ability to shrug off the bitter cold, they can soak up immense amounts of damage. Their ability to snap back from punishment is highlighted with their new ultimate gain passive. We changed their flat damage reduction to resistances, so it's better scaled with all playstyles and allowed for different build paths than it did before. I like this. I like this. I like them moving the percent. Again, I know I've said this like 2 or 3 times, that this is just me. I feel like them moving the percentages to flat values for a newer player, because I try to look at it from all perspectives. Newer players, more experienced players. I try to kind of, even me, just like as a streamer, as a YouTuber, I try to cater to both sides of the game and make content for both sides of the game. But if I was a new player, right, to see an actual value that I could quantify on my stat sheet would be more helpful than just a percentage, because then you have to wonder, when is that percentage actually taking into effect? Is it after just the base, after the base ones, before CP, after CP? Like, a newer player isn't going to think about that stuff. They're just going to put points and be like, okay, this is 14%, whatever. But having actual values that'll go in your stat sheet, I think even for a new player, just makes it easier to look at and be like, oh, I'm going to gain about 4K resistances. Nice. Like, to me, I think it's good. I like that they're moving in that direction. Orc. Increase your max health and stamina by 500. The whole time I thought that they were trying to do these percentages proportionally, but clearly I'm very wrong. Because didn't Dunmer get like 1250 and then they're getting 500? All right. I'm okay. Increases your healing received by 4%. When you deal damage with a weapon ability, you restore 380 health and stamina. This could occur every 4 seconds. I like it. It plays into the theme really well. +1 to this, because the orcs with being smiths and everything. I like that. It's cool. 4% melee attack, 12% sprint and cost reduction, and 10% sprint speed. Like the most eclectic passive ever. Increases your weapon damage by 258. Reduces the cost of your sprint by 12%. And increases your movement speed while sprinting by 10%. I like it. Orcs looking good. I think orcs are looking good. Orc race is one of Honor and Code, well known for their aggressive combat style. We wanted to showcase this by helping them keep up the fight with their new recovery when utilizing a weapon. Good. Orcs needed some recovery love. Their previous bonus to melee damage was too niche. I completely agree. We want orcs to feel powerful with less restrictions. Since we're giving them more damage and aggression, we also wanted to dial back some of their defensive power. I like it. I like it. All right. Redguard. Now, Redguard triggered me the most. Okay? Redguard triggered me the most, not because of what they did, because of how people reacted to it. And I'll go over that in a sec. Exhilaration, which gave 9% stamina recovery, now just reduces the cost of your weapon abilities by 8%. So weapon abilities only. Conditioning is 10% max stam, aka 2k stam. And Adrenaline Rush is the same, except for they buffed it. Now people immediately went to the forums and started screaming, Redguards got buffed. No, they did not. Adrenaline Rush got buffed because Exhilaration got changed. It even says it. Fierce and resilient, the Redguard race are well respected for their physical combat prowess. We wanted to emphasize their cultural background of being well versed in the ways of combat by granting them a cost reduction bonus for weapon skills while pulling back from some of their passive recovery. Instead, we've moved that into their offensive staying power with Adrenaline Rush to highlight their natural advantage to attrition. They just took the power out of Exhilaration and moved some of it into Adrenaline Rush. It's not a buff. The race was not buffed. Granted, I still think they're going to be one of the best, but to people running around like screaming, they're buffed, it's not true. Like, it's not true. I don't think. Like, it's I don't think it's a buff. No. I mean, if you take the amount of the difference in recovery here and like what 9% stam recovery, I don't think though that's a buff. If it is, it's minor. It's minor. But, you know, to just scream like they got, because people, you again, forums, people are acting like that this value was 1 million. Like I you know, reduces the cost of weapon abilities by 8%. Like this is going to be more effective for races that use a lot of weapon skills like Stam Sork, but races like Stam Blade, where you're using more of your class skills, this passive isn't really going to be doing a lot for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this really isn't going to be doing a whole lot for you. This will help, but this isn't going to really be affecting you much. So I think whether or not Redguard was super buffed in terms of sustain or super nerfed in terms of sustain, I almost think it's going to depend on your build and your class. Depends on what you're using. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm looking at it at face value. Could be wrong, but I don't think I am. But yeah, that's my opinion, guys, on the racial changes. Overall, very happy. Very happy. You know, I've criticized Zoss in the past where criticisms I felt were due, and spoken against changes that I don't like and spoken for changes that I do. But overall, I'm extremely happy with the direction they're taking the racial passives. And I'm very confident for the upcoming year. Very confident for the upcoming year. I think there's going to be a lot of good. But thank you guys so much for watching this this racial overview. If you guys like this, if you agree with some of the stuff I said, drop a like on the video. If you want to see more ESO content, keep up with the upcoming Elsewhere stuff, please hit subscription, as well as hit the bell to keep notifications on. And leave your thoughts below on what you think about the racial changes. Remember, guys, this is just the first initial thoughts. These are way subject to change. Also, these are just my opinion. My opinions. My opinions aren't gospel. People could have different opinions. I'd love to know yours. Please keep it civil. All right? It's just the pre-patch notes. All right? Keep it civil. Everything's going to be okay. All right? We'll be good. But thank you all so much for watching. Appreciate it. As always, I'm Dots Gaming, and I'll see you in the next one.